Let's come back to the Holy Spirit, your talk, because um, the role of the Holy Spirit in evangelism. And I would say in our tradition, sometimes the Holy Spirit can make people feel uncomfortable, like particularly how you talk about that. So could you share some of your own personal experiences or stories where you've seen the Holy Spirit um, empower people to live on mission, and what
Yeah.
that looks like in a normal everyday life?
I'll show you the book I'm rereading again right now, Knowing
Mm.
God, J.I. Packer. When he died, I was like, I'm going to reread that book. And funnily enough, I just literally finished the chapter on the Holy Spirit. And J.I. Packer, who wrote this 50 years ago, was saying the church doesn't take the Holy Spirit seriously. And in one of the chapters here. So it's really ironic that you're saying that to me today, because I don't think we've changed that much from when he originally wrote the book. I think we've relegated the Holy Spirit as to over there because there's a pendulum swing in the church that can become wildly charismatic, and people think, well, that's emotionalism and that's really weird and out of control, so I'm not for that. But then they go all the way back over here to say, let's not talk about him. And I
Mm.
think what God's calling us to do is to bring it together, right? And
Mhm.
say that, yeah, we do have to give up ourselves. That dying to self is the Christian life, and living for God and saying more of you and less of me. And as we do that, the Holy Spirit's filling us again and again. And sometimes it's in supernatural ways that show up in ways that we feel that was weird, but it's God. And other times where it's just like, oh my goodness, he's freed me from that ongoing sinful pattern in my life. And oh my goodness, that's the work of the Holy Spirit in us. So when it comes to experiencing the Holy Spirit in evangelism, there's no other way to do evangelism. You cannot possibly do evangelism without the Holy Spirit. Whether or not you purposely called on the Holy Spirit, he's working through you in that moment. So if you're a Christian, you have the Holy Spirit. It's a free gift at your salvation that is given to you. And the question is, do you allow the Holy Spirit freedom to work in you on a regular basis? And I think the oldest prayer in the church is, Come, Holy Spirit. And that simple prayer unlocks so much in us to activate us both for personal transformation to become more like Jesus, but also for missional transformation to be engaged in the mission of God, to bring his kingdom here on earth and to participate in it. So we are all filled with the Holy Spirit. It's just how much reign would you like the Holy Spirit to have in your life? That's the question. That's how you engage in mission is, do I want him to have full control? Or I'm just saying, you can have this part, the part I'm comfortable with. And so my spiritual gifts that I have play out every day, but it is because I ask the Father through the power of the Holy Spirit to do it in me. And I surrender to that. And sometimes it looks a little bit different than everyday Shayla. And it's me using my spiritual gifts. And sometimes it looks quite like the ordinary Shayla, but both are me being filled with the Holy Spirit. It just depends on what the Holy Spirit wants to do in and through me that day to be on mission.